Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. We have action, potential action along the coast of California, especially Southern California, following a giant volcano eruption, underwater volcano eruption, from what I understand, clear down at Tonga. You can see a photo I have up here. This is actually of the eruption that occurred just a few hours ago. Unbelievable situation going on right now. I want to take you guys to the National Data Buoy Center real quick, and then we're going to look at some articles about there was a tsunami in Tonga, obviously. The volcanic eruption occurred right in here, and I'm sure there was a large tsunami in this area. From what I understand, the information is still coming in, but from what I understand, this thing was so powerful it was actually heard in New Zealand and Australia. Just unbelievable. Look at the buoys here in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Incredible. I'm going to count them real quick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. At least 20 that I can see. 20 buoys extending for thousands of miles across the Pacific Ring of Fire. This is a big deal. They're waiting on a tsunami wave right now as I do this video in Southern California. Does it necessarily mean it's going to be a 1,000-foot wave? Probably not, because the volcanic eruption occurred down here in Tonga. And I mean to tell you, it was powerful. One thing I wanted to check real quick was the seismographs. I haven't done yet. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys the eruption here in just a second. It was nothing like I'd ever seen before. Looking at the global seismographs, I was kind of thinking out loud here, guys, because this is occurring right now. I mean, I'm doing this on the fly. There are people in Southern California, and you might be one of them. There's people in Southern California right now waiting along the beach for this tsunami wave. You can see the ripple effect through a lot of these seismographs. That is from what I'm about to show you right here. It's not necessarily showing up as an earthquake, but you can totally tell there's been some sort of a disturbance, a global type of event. It's wild there. Just by looking at the waves and the bottoms of these graphs. And here's why. Take you over here to zoom.earth. Check this out. This is one-of-a-kind footage. I have never seen anything like this. Watch this. This is incredible. Here we go. Watch right here around Tonga. Are you serious? Look at that. Unbelievable. So, of course, that sent a shockwave through the entire Pacific, putting multiple buoys in event mode. That the energy from this thing, and it wasn't detected as an earthquake because it was not an earthquake. That was a giant volcano eruption. We're going to look at it again. This happened just a few minutes ago. This is down in Tonga, thousands of miles away from the Southern California coast, and there could be a potential tsunami. There was a tsunami in Tonga. I'm sure there was a tsunami over here in Fiji, quite possibly northern Australia. You're kind of getting an idea of what occurred down here from this. This is a live satellite feed at zoom.earth. You can see it went on for, I think, the better part of I don't know, I have to look. I know it lasted a fairly long period of time, but you can see the shockwave coming out from the epicenter of this giant volcano eruption. Totally unexpected. Sending shockwaves all through the Pacific Ocean, tripping multiple buoys all the way around the Ring of Fire from just south of New Zealand all the way up into the Aleutians of Alaska, along the west coast of the United States. And then, of course, up into the Philippines area, along the coast of Japan. Unbelievable. We're going to take a look at it again. Here we go. Here's the eruption. Look at that. You can see why there was a tsunami alert. Look at the waves coming out from that. Unbelievable. That was in real time. That happened very quickly. And again, that was not expected. That occurred right in this area here. And the shock waves went out in all directions. 360 degrees, went towards Australia, New Zealand, of course, Fiji, one of the closer, larger islands closest to the epicenter. But we are talking, let's see how long that is. I'm not quite sure. 4,000 miles? Let's just measure. Clear up to the 5,000 miles. There you go. So it's got a little bit of time to travel. It won't be there instantly. Even if it were traveling if the wave from this eruption, let's say it was traveling at, right there, let's say it was traveling at 500 miles per hour. 500 miles per hour, which is very fast. It would still take 10 hours to reach the coast of California. That would be all the way up here. And then, of course, you got to keep in mind, Hawaii is right in the middle of all of that. So I'm sure Hawaii is under some sort of an alert. But right now, Southern California definitely is. I want to read you guys some articles that I found. This one here at NBC News out of Los Angeles. Tsunami advisory issued after undersea volcano eruption. What to expect in Southern California. Again, I would not expect to see a 100-foot wave, but then again, you never know. Here's a tsunami alert from the National Weather Service. A tsunami advisory means a dangerous wave is on the way. Strong and unusual currents are expected along the coast and in bays, marinas, and harbors. Move to high ground and away from the shore. And that's from the National Weather Service tsunami alert. That's not coming from me. That's what I'm reading right there that they put out on their Twitter page just a little while ago. 8:18 a.m. to be exact, just over an hour ago. So possible action in Southern California. If you plan to go to the beach today, I don't recommend that you do that. That's the NBC LA forecaster, Shanna Mendiola. The currents are going to be strong. Waves expected to arrive in Newport Beach between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m., and that would be California time. Newport Beach piers and beaches will be closed until further notice. Wow, this is a huge deal. The Seal Beach Police Department said the city beaches are closed due to the advisory of the possible tsunami wave, and they were expecting it to arrive around 7:50 a.m. this morning. But you got to keep in mind, this thing's going to travel, the potential wave, which you can see coming from this epicenter, even if we're moving at 500 miles per hour. That occurred at 10:50. I'm just trying to calculate the hours here. Yeah, it would take at least 10 hours to reach the coast of the United States. So, arrival time, it's going to be tricky at best. But I would say, based off of what they're reporting here, anytime now. If there's going to be a wave, it's going to occur anytime now. Here's yet another report from LA. IST.com. Attention, Southern California, a tsunami advisory is in effect. And this was published this morning, January 15th of 2022. And this was at 7:27 a.m. Just a little while ago. And there's the tsunami evacuation route. And they're advising people not to go to the beaches down here in Southern California. They're advising people to steer clear of the beaches. You've got, Seal Beach? Where is Seal Beach? Down here by San Diego? There's Oceanside, San Clemente, Laguna Beach, Huntington Beach, Long Beach. This entire area right here potentially could be impacted. Let's see here. Imperial Beach, Coronado, all of this area right in through here. And again, I would assume that Hawaii would be right in the middle of all of this, you know? Here's yet another report from yahoonews.com, dated January 15th, Saturday, 8:57 a.m. Tsunami waves caused by a giant underwater volcanic eruption have hit the Pacific country of Tonga. Social media footage showed water washing through a church and several homes, and witnesses said ash was falling over the capital of Nuku'alofa. Tsunami warnings across the region sent residents heading for high ground. The eruption of the Hunga Hapai volcano was heard across the South Pacific, reportedly as far as New Zealand and Australia. That's what I mentioned earlier. People heard this thing hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. Many parts of Tonga are experiencing a near total blackout of power, phone lines, and internet services, meaning information is scarce. And that's because there's no power. They can't get any information out of the area of Tonga because it was so close to the epicenter of the giant volcano eruption, disrupted their power services and internet right in this area here. That's what I just showed you at Zoom Earth. We'll look at it another time here. There it goes. Wow, that was huge. Unbelievable. And keep in mind, tsunami waves typically travel, I think, at around 500 miles per hour. So that would have to travel 5,000 miles before it were to reach the coast of California. 5,000 miles. So just be careful if you're down there. Let's see. Continuing on here at this article here. Meaning information is scarce and the extent of any injuries or property damage at this point is unclear. Videos that did make it out before the power outages occurred showed large traffic jams as people tried to flee low-lying areas. Tonga capital lies just 65 kilometers north of the volcano on the country's main island. One resident said the eruption hit as her family was preparing dinner, and they didn't know what it was at first. It sounded, it was just so loud. Their first instinct was to take cover under the table. People in New Zealand were doing the same thing. And here's a video. There's video footage here posted out of Tonga, and it occurred during the afternoon down in Tonga. And you can see the wave right there as it's coming up on shore. See it right there? It's a wave. You can find the video link down below in the description box. It's at yahoonews.com. Good sized wave. I don't know how tall that was, but it came ashore pretty quickly, and those waves are very, very strong. The initial 8-minute eruption was so strong it could be heard as loud thunder 500 miles away in Fiji. And that was some of the information that managed to get out before the power went completely down. So over here in Fiji, the volcanic eruption was heard, which is 500 miles away. And here's a look at the eruption again. This is a spectacular view from space. Unbelievable eruption. Totally unexpected. Again, sending shockwaves through the entire Pacific Ocean, the South Pacific, the North Pacific, and everywhere in between. Look at the buoys in event mode. In fact, let's take a look at some of these buoys and just see what they're showing. Look at this one right here. It's fairly close. See a 15. The green represents 1 minute. 45.94, 45.93. So not a major drop in that one right there. Oh, this one here, you can see a swell starting to increase. But again, I don't see anything super drastic at the moment. Let's go up here along the coast of California. I mean, these are 5,000 miles away. Are you serious? 5,000 miles away. You can see the buoys along the coast of California and Oregon. There's two that are in event mode right now. That means they detected something, and right there is what they detected. That's a tsunami that it detected. Or it detected energy, let's put it that way, on the seafloor from a giant volcano eruption. Again, totally unexpected. So we have two buoys along the coast of California. This one here just missed it. It detected the energy, but it did not have enough to go into event mode. And then all along the Aleutians up here, it looks like a giant earthquake has occurred. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way down from the Gulf of Alaska, clear down to the Philippines. Wow, you don't see this lit up like this very often. I think the last time I saw, let's go down here below New Zealand. I don't think I've ever seen it quite this active at one time. Whoa! Get a load of that! Wow! 86 to 87. You know, yeah. There could be. We're waiting. We're just scouring right now, looking for news. Is what we're doing. It's hard to get news from some of these places, like we read earlier, because of the power outage situation close to the epicenter of the giant volcano eruption. Just incredible. And we're going to look at it again. I mean, this is rare footage you're looking at right here, guys. This is of the giant volcano eruption that just occurred near Tonga, 500 miles southeast of Fiji. Look at that. Unbelievable. Here's another look at it. Wow. That is massive. That is absolutely massive. You can see the shockwave even going through the clouds. So you know it sent a huge ripple effect through the ocean, obviously, looking at the buoys that are in event mode all around the Pacific Ring of Fire. It just spans thousands of miles. I'm surprised, though. I'm a little surprised that it did not show up more on the seismographs. I can tell by looking at these seismographs, and I'm sure that you guys can as well, that are longtime viewers of these particular graphs. You can see, especially in these up here that are near the Pacific Ocean, the Southern Pacific Ocean, you can see what look like waves on especially right here, South Pacific. Look at this one. See the energy going through the water there, and it's actually getting stronger. So I don't know, guys. That's a big deal. And I know there's people right now down over here in the Southern California area that are waiting for the tsunami. So just be careful if you're down here, guys, because this is kind of uncharted waters, so to speak. I know this is being watched very closely, I'm sure by satellite and a lot of different, there's ships out here in the area. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of advance notice if there is any type of large wave heading that way. But when they send out an attention, an alert like this for a tsunami, it needs to, you know, look at that, be taken seriously, because there could be one en route. But again, from that location, keep in mind, look at the shockwave go out from that thing. Whoa, unbelievable. Again, that has 5,000 miles to travel. So simple math will tell you if that's moving away from the epicenter of this eruption, that'll tell you that it's a 10-hour journey, at least a 10-hour journey. And that would put it there, well, their calculations are right. I mean, anytime now. In fact, yes, anytime now there could be a wave. You know, it could be anywhere from a few inches, a few centimeters. Then again, it could be a few feet. I don't think at this point anybody really knows. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's what they're talking about here. He said the waves are already slamming ashore in Hawaii. Measurements of 2.7 feet, 80 centimeters. Waves of 3 feet or above would trigger a warning. And there are waves already impacting Hawaii. So nothing giant right now at the moment. New Zealand's military said it was monitoring the situation. I'm sure this is being monitored very closely by satellites. Satellite images showed a huge eruption and a plume of ash, steam and gas arriving from a mushroom-like cloud above the blue waters of the Pacific Ocean. Boy, this is rare. This is definitely one for the record books here, guys. Over 20 buoys across the Pacific Ring of Fire in event mode. And that all stems from a very powerful, you're seeing it right here, that is unbelievable footage. That happened so quickly. And again, the island of Tonga right in here that was very close. I mean, right next to the eruption. I know they experienced a strong tsunami. The island is without power in a lot of areas. It's difficult to get information from this area right now due to the lack of power. And that just goes to show you how we are very dependent on power in our society today. And that's one reason why we watch the power outage situation over here. We have it at the website right here, front and center. And look for power outages here in the U.S. You can see there's an outage right now in Texas, more than likely weather-related. Over 17,000 without electricity. But watch for power outages along the East Coast, east of the Mississippi River, extending from Tennessee all the way up to Maine, Nova Scotia, into southern Canada, as this snowstorm event that is getting underway right now. No new earthquakes, at least significant earthquakes in Southern California. There's always earthquakes in Southern California on the map. Ever since I've been following earthquakes going back a long time, there's always been earthquakes in this area, and I'm sure there always will be. There's a whole slew of fault lines in this area, but I have noticed an increase in earthquake activity, up in Nevada over the last couple of years, sporadic through Utah, but didn't used to notice a whole lot of activity in Utah, and now it seems commonplace even up here in Washington, in the Seattle area, and extending out from Seattle over to Kennewick. I can remember a day when that map didn't have any earthquakes on it. And then especially over here near the supervolcano caldera, definitely remember days when there were no earthquakes there. And in Oklahoma and Kansas, look at that, that's a 3.0 again in central Kansas, way out of bounds. Another one over here in South Carolina that just occurred on the 15th, 1.8, that's today. Earthquakes continue in South Carolina, of all places. But right now, the headline news is a tsunami hits Tonga after a giant volcano eruption, and that tsunami is traveling right now across the Pacific Ocean. It's traveling thousands of miles, and again, simple math will tell you that if this tsunami is traveling at 500 miles per hour, it's going to take 10 hours to reach the coast of California. So right there's the eruption at 9:40 p.m. just as the sun was going down below the horizon, and you can see the energy even on the satellite feed here. Wow, extending out in all directions. Unbelievable. I'd like to thank you, John Sprott. Appreciate that. It's very kind of you, John. Looking over here in the comment section. Here's another look, an exclusive look here at a very rare sight. I'm telling you, you don't see this on here very often. Look at that. Just unbelievable. There it goes again. You can see the shockwaves extending out in all directions from look at the very powerful. That was an underwater eruption. Still waiting on, you can see how the island of Tonga took the brunt of that eruption. Look at that. It was heard. That event right there you're looking at, it's got it on loop right now. That event was heard up in Fiji, which is 500 miles away. They said it sounded like thunder. They heard it in New Zealand. Unbelievable. That is exclusive footage right there. You're seeing something that you just don't see on here. You can see the shockwave extending out. Look to the right. You can especially see it. See it right there? That would be associated with a potential tsunami, right? Here comes another. See it right there. See the shockwave? That's a shockwave going through the sky. Unbelievable. Wow. So this is why people are along the southern coast of California right now. This is why they got tsunami alerts on their cell phones earlier this morning from this event right here. And people were very surprised in Southern California that got these alerts, you know, across their phone. And of course, out of curiosity, they went to the beach because it's not every day, you know, you get tsunami alerts on your phone. And so they went to the beach to see what's up, you know, just out of curiosity. Just be safe, guys. That's all I can tell you. These things, even though they move at a very high rate of speed, you're talking, you know, it has to travel halfway around the globe. And it can do it. We've seen it do it before. But this is unprecedented right there. Absolutely unprecedented view of a giant underwater volcano eruption. I was trying to find real quick I think the name of the volcano that again, I hadn't seen anything in that region as far as, you know, odd tremors or, you know, earthquakes in that area. Nothing. It was totally unexpected. But that is incredible. Sounded like thunder 500 miles away. So this is why people are along the beaches right now of Southern California. They're awaiting the arrival of a potential tsunami. A rare event has occurred in the South Pacific near the island of Tonga that experienced a tsunami rather quickly. Don't know how big. Waiting on information, but right now, because of the very powerful eruption that you see right there that occurred just a few hours ago, did interrupt their power services down there. All of their, you know, data services are currently interrupted because of this huge event that just occurred a few hours ago. Rare footage you're looking at right here. Rare footage. Did see a tsunami wave right before, like, the power went out in the Tonga area. Anybody in Southern California? Has there been any waves arrive yet? Anybody in the Southern California area? Yeah, that's why right there. Look at it one more time. Whoa. Just goes to show you the power of Mother Earth. You know, you just never know. Earth is a big, strong place that, you know, it commands respect. You never know when something like that's going to happen. That's why we watch the Yellowstone supervolcano so closely, because you just never know. This was not expected. At least at the supervolcano up at Yellowstone, you know, we can see signs of magma intrusion. We can see small earthquake swarms that, you know, could be an indication of an eruption, not a guarantee. But this here showed no signs of, there was no earthquake swarms in the area, at least that I'm aware of. And I, like a lot of you guys, I monitor the earthquakes globally every single day. So I hadn't seen anything major come out of the Tonga area. A lot of times the earthquakes down here in this region are extremely deep. You know, anywhere from 200 to 300 miles deep in this area. But I haven't even seen any large earthquakes. But this is why there's a tsunami alert for Hawaii. This is why there's a tsunami alert, obviously, for Fiji and this local area here. and then extending all the way to Southern California, and I'm sure down the coast of Mexico and into Central America. I mean, it's affecting the entire Pacific Ocean. You know, you got buoys in event mode up off the Aleutian Islands in Alaska that would be well over 5,000 miles away. In fact, let's measure and just see. I'm curious myself how far this island here took on a tsunami earlier from the eruption occurred right here. And I don't know, I was looking, I don't see a large underwater volcano anywhere. I mean, I know this area is known for its volcanoes. We all know that. That's what created these islands, was volcanic activity. But okay, let's measure real quick. If I even can. Okay, we're going to go from here all the way up to here. Are you serious? Yeah, right there. 5,400, basically 5,445 miles away, tripped buoys in event mode. Half the globe, are you serious? So what you've got is a tsunami wave traveling up this direction, and south too, all directions really. People over here in Southern California are waiting on the tsunami, or at least possible tsunami, from this major event that occurred, looks like just north and slightly west of the island of Tonga itself. But again, this was heard in Fiji, heard in New Zealand, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was heard in parts of northern Australia. So it sounded like thunder. And I believe it from the looks of the satellite presentation of this incredible event. Oh my gosh, that is huge. You can see the shockwaves. Look at that, especially going out to the right from, say, the 1 o'clock position down to the 5, 6 o'clock position, right in through here. See that shockwave? Look at that. Wow. Boy, that was a fast eruption, too. Unbelievable. That's one for the record books. Again, over 20 buoys in event mode all across the Pacific Ocean, around that Pacific Ring of Fire, extending from California up through Alaska, over along the coast of Japan, down along the coast of Asia, Taiwan, through the area of the Philippines, and then, of course, down in the Fiji, Tonga area, and then there's a buoy that is in event mode south of New Zealand. So if you take the buoy that's in event mode south of New Zealand and you go up to the Aleutian Islands up here in the Alaska area, you know, you're talking a span of, let's just measure here real quick, right? If we can, I think we can. Let's do it. So we've got it up, here's New Zealand, all right? So we have a buoy down here in event mode, and let's go up to Alaska, which is right here. You're talking, are you serious? Look at that. 7,854 miles apart. That's how far away those buoys are from one another that felt the energy from that very large, they're calling it a giant, right here, giant volcano eruption, which you're going to see again right here. Look at that. That's probably close to what, 200 miles wide, the width, the circumference of the steam and gas that extended out from the very powerful underwater eruption. Come up from underwater and extended out. Well, even here, that's 500 miles. But the initial right there, that's a good 200 miles in diameter. Just humongous. So anybody in Southern California, anybody see any type of tsunami activity from this large eruption? This is where it extended from, down in Tonga. And I think, where is Tonga? Let me get the coordinates here real quick. There's Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, Tonga. It's 21 south. So it's definitely in the 21 south, so well below the equator. That's projected to send possible tsunami waves well above the equator. Wow. Again, that's not something you see every day right there. And that was the first initial eruption. Who knows? I mean, there could be more. This one was not expected, so keep a close eye on that one. Yeah, so this is why you see people out along the coast of California. They're awaiting the arrival of a rare tsunami, possible tsunami. Hopefully it's not anything major. Definitely don't want to see that, but from the looks of this very strong, I mean, this thing even has a very strong satellite presentation. You know there was a tsunami somewhere. Now, how far out it originates from this epicenter, of the volcanic eruption, all that data is still waiting to be retrieved. I don't think anybody knows at this point. It's still very early. Still very, very early. But again, you have to keep in mind, these things travel. It's been a while since I've taken tsunami classes, but I think typically the tsunami primary wave travels at 500 miles per hour on average. But that's from an earthquake. This is something that's not an earthquake. This is a different type of a natural it's event that occurs on planet Earth. Earth is full of surprises. Earth is full of surprises, and you have to watch every single day. You just never know. Things like this can happen at any time, just like we're witnessing today. So, yeah, Earth is full of surprises. And that was a surprise. That sent, like I said, a shockwave for thousands of miles. Buoys were tripped almost instantly, within a matter of a few seconds to a few minutes. Buoys all across the Pacific Ring of Fire felt that humongous, they're calling it a giant volcano eruption underwater, right there, giant volcano eruption. Underwater volcanic eruption near the country of Tonga, which is down here just below the equator. Tonga sits at 21.1 south. And it was felt and heard over here in Fiji, 500 miles away. It was heard down here in New Zealand, which is, let's just take a quick look. Okay, there's Fiji, here's Tonga. 1,200 miles away from the epicenter to the North Island of New Zealand. And let's measure from here to the Gold Coast of Australia. 1,900 miles away. So 1,900 miles away, from what I understand, if the information is accurate, it was heard in Australia. Does that sound like thunder? They said it was heard down here in New Zealand, 1,200 miles away. Sounded like thunder. And of course up here, 400 or 500 miles away in Fiji, they said it was also heard. And this right here, that you're going to see again on that unbelievable satellite presentation, sounded like thunder for hundreds of miles, quite possibly even over 1,000 miles away. Unbelievable. So guys, I don't know if you're along the coast of California and you're waiting on a tsunami wave. This is exactly where it originated from, according to the satellite presentation. I'm sure American Samoa probably looks like they were in on the tsunami right up in through here. I mean, the wave went directly towards American Samoa. You can see, look at that. Look at the shock wave going to the northeast. And it's actually going in all directions, but it looks a little, excuse me, it looks a little stronger towards the east, northeast. Definitely looks very strong in that direction. Kind of like I know it's an odd comparison, but the right-hand side of a hurricane in the northern hemisphere is typically the strongest side of a hurricane. This one here too, I mean, to me, from the satellite presentation, looks stronger over on that right-hand side. Humongous ash cloud expanding for hundreds of miles in all directions. Rare event you're looking at right here, guys. It's not something you see every day, that is for sure. And I hope everybody's okay down here in the islands, but it's these volcanoes are what engineered these islands. That's what makes up all of these island nations. Were very active volcanoes over thousands and thousands of years. That's what makes up the Hawaiian chain of islands. It was volcanic activity that's still to this very day. We just saw back in 2018 the eruption of Mount Kilauea, and it actually increased the size of the big island by several acres from new lava that came up. Look at that. Oh, wow. Almost looks like a meteor impacted from space, doesn't it? That's not what happened. That's a volcano eruption. But if you can imagine a meteor impacting the ocean, you know, it would have that same type of presentation. That's not what happened, though. That's an underwater volcano. Still, that's a lot of strength right there. A lot of strength. Strong enough to trip buoys thousands of miles away. Incredible. So if you see a lot of people along the beaches of Southern California looking out at the water, this is what they're looking at. Thank you, Helen Bird. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Anybody over along the coast of Southern California, have you seen an increase in the wave height in the last hour, maybe 30 minutes? If you do, this is what it's from right here. I'm waiting on it to recycle. Once it recycles, then we'll play it again. And for those of you that haven't seen it, this is a large-scale event that just occurred down in the southern hemisphere near the island nation of Tonga, honestly, near Fiji, pretty close, all things considered. Wallis, Futuna, American Samoa. And it was a huge underwater volcano eruption that was totally unexpected. But there's hundreds and hundreds of volcanoes in this part of the world. And comparatively speaking, for as many as there are, most of them are not active like you see right here. There's several active volcanoes down here. They've been active for a long time. But nothing like this here. This is unprecedented, what you're looking at. That is absolutely unprecedented for sure. Wow. So we're just waiting on news, you know, to come out of the Southern Pacific regarding, you know, that unprecedented event that you're just seeing right there. Wow. Never seen anything like it. So now, right there, you see why. I've even had people tell me over the years, especially the last couple of years, I've had people tell me, oh, they get bored with the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera reports. And I do. I report on it in every video, pretty much, you know. This is why. Are you serious? Earth is unpredictable. Anything like that can happen at any given time. So absolutely, I watch it every day. I have watched it every day for years and years and years. I just didn't report on it, you know, but it's something that I personally do every day because I respect the Earth. I know what the Earth is capable of doing. And this here is a big deal, but there could be bigger. There could be bigger, but this is a big deal right here. Do you see that vacuum? Look, watch. You'll see like a vacuum over here on the left-hand side. Pulling up. Look at that. Just an unbelievable presentation that, you know, hopefully everybody's okay down here, but you know that there was a significant tsunami close to the center of that eruption, underwater volcano. They're calling it a giant volcanic eruption. Wow. Unprecedented footage right there, guys. So I'm trying to find news, you know, as this is fairly new. This is unfolding, waiting on information regarding the tsunami, especially the Fiji area, New Zealand, Australia. They very well could have experienced some sort of tsunami. I'm not necessarily implying anything huge, but near the epicenter, who knows? You know, again, this is an unprecedented event right here. Visible, easily visible from space. So big. Just incredible. So yeah, that's why over here at the website, you see right there, Yellowstone. Because of what you just saw right there. I have nothing but respect for the Yellowstone, and I call it the mighty Yellowstone supervolcano. And right there's the seismographs that we do check every, not sometime, every single day. I may not report on it every single day, but you can rest assured I check it every single day. And this here, I mean, there's nothing to check in this area. I mean, you can check buoys in this area where this event occurred near Tonga. You can check for earthquakes, you know, maybe an upcoming, if you see a swarm in the area, then you're going to pay closer attention to this area. A swarm could be a precursor to a volcano eruption. But as we're witnessing right here, there wasn't any swarm that I knew of, you know. It's like when people were talking about the island volcano over in the Canary Islands. You know, people kept talking about La Palma, La Palma, La Palma. Well, you know, you had all it didn't create a mega tsunami. This here looks like to me it was 100 times stronger than anything that was occurring over in La Palma. And, you know, more than likely there's not going to be a mega tsunami from this event right here. Could there be a tsunami? I would think so, based off of what we're seeing here on the satellite presentation, especially localized. That is very, very strong. And again, that's why right there is a prime example of why we check the Yellowstone supervolcano data every single day. We look for changes, you know. We look for earthquake swarms and anomalies in the seismographs that could imply, you know, some sort of a change that could possibly be telling us, hey, you know, it's getting ready to do something like we're seeing right here down near the island of Tonga. Not that that's what we want. We don't want that, but we check it every day because we respect it. I know I do. I definitely respect the Earth. You bet. But that right there is an unprecedented satellite presentation of a giant underwater volcano eruption. Looks like between the islands of Fiji and Tonga, closer to Tonga, obviously. Still waiting on news reports, guys. This is all pretty new, and the areas that were impacted almost like directly are without power, from what I understand. Checking the buoys once again over here at the National Data Buoy Center. This is again something you don't see very often. This is rare. I mean, you've got buoys in event mode. When they're in event mode, they're flashing yellow. When they're a steady yellow, that means steady as she flows. You know, there's not anything going on. Red means they're offline, and there's always buoys on here that are offline for a variety of reasons. You know, it could be mechanical issues or whatever. I don't know, but I know there's always been buoys that are not online, and then the ones that are yellow are active. They work. Ones that are flashing, they're telling you then, hey, you know, we've detected something either on the sea floor, the water level, height. One thing I've learned from monitoring these buoys, they will tell you, you know, like some of how they're configured, they're attached to the seafloor. So if there's movement in the seafloor, that will definitely put these things in event mode. Here's one over here on the west coast of Hawaii. Yeah, see that right there? 37 to nearly 38. So, I mean, it looks more dramatic on the graph than I think it was. But still, that's a tsunami. I don't know how big it ended up being, but it did detect something. That was over there at Hawaii, which was what, 1,000 miles away. Let's measure real quick. I'm just curious. Bear with me, guys. We're going to measure from Tonga up to, let's go here up to Hawaii. 3,000 miles away, 3,200 miles away. That's going up over the equator into the northern hemisphere. Again, from this very powerful event that just occurred here a little while ago near the island nation of Tonga. Oh my goodness. Wow. That is unprecedented right there. Never seen anything quite like it. Totally unexpected. So if anybody is over along the southern coast of California, anything yet as far as a tsunami wave goes, not necessarily a 100-footer, a foot, 2-foot wave could be considered a tsunami wave. Right there's the culprit. This is what would cause it if you do see one right there. I don't know, but I have heard of there are people over along the coast of California because they got tsunami alerts on their phones this morning. Residents of Southern California did. I personally did not, but I don't live in Southern California. But there were people that got alerts on their phone implying a possible tsunami, and they were quite surprised, because there were no large earthquakes in Southern California, but it came from this area here, down in the South Pacific, below the equator. A giant volcano eruption, underwater volcano eruption, that definitely generated a tsunami. I know there was a wall of water that went onto the island of Tonga. It was difficult to tell exactly how big it was, and then the power went out. So they have no power. They have no way of communicating right now, from what I understand, with the outside world because of this event you're seeing right here on satellite. That is a unprecedented event you're seeing right there. Thank you, Danny. Oh, you live in Ensenada, San Diego, and just got out of the water from my morning surf. Didn't notice anything. Parking lots are closed as a precaution. Excellent information. Thank you again, Danny Glasson from Ensenadas, San Diego. All right, so Danny just got out from surfing and did not notice any giant waves from a tsunami. So that's excellent news. That's good news. We want to hear that. Look, Earth is a very powerful place. Earth, it has so much energy contained inside of it. It's hard to comprehend. It really and truly is. I don't think any of us can really comprehend and fully understand the amount of energy that is underneath the very place you're standing right now, the very chair you're sitting in. You go straight down into the center of the earth. It's unimaginable power and strength. And this is just a small example of the amount of horsepower that's inside your planet. So it's quite remarkable. So this could have been a lot bigger, even though this was totally unexpected. Could have been a lot bigger. Earth is a very powerful place. I always looked at Earth sometimes as a star that's trying to break out of its shell. And when you see events like this right here, this is an example of that energy trying to cut loose, And, at some point, Earth is going to break its chains, of the water and the terra, the land, and someday become a shining star. Maybe Earth is an encapsulated star. That's why all this energy is constantly trying to get out in the form of, volcanic eruptions and earthquakes along fault lines that are in a constant state of motion. And it's loaded with the interior of Earth is what, 7,000, 10,000 degrees? I mean, it's as hot as the surface of the sun. Why? How's that even possible? When you think about that, and put that just write it down on a piece of paper. How does the Earth stay so hot on the inside with common sense will tell you there's no oxygen there. So how does it maintain that intense heat? Kind of like a star, right? But yeah, this is just a small example of the power that is harnessed inside planet Earth. But from what we just heard, there are no tsunamis right now. Try to take a look. I had somebody ask about, can we look from the International Space Station? And I'm sure there will be some footage. Thank you, A-Line and Ernest. Let's see here. I'm going to go over to the website here real quick, guys. I don't think, well, it depends on where the International Space Station is at. That's over here at the website. ISS live feed. Just simply click on that. It will take you to the ISS. There we go. Go here. And I kind of doubt it. I don't know if we'll be able to see anything here. I think eventually. Here we go. See, I don't even know where it's at. It doesn't show us on this particular feed. But there's the space station. For those of you that inquired about the space station, there's a view, at least right now. You can clearly see it's above an ocean. I don't know if that's the South Pacific. I don't know if that's the North Pacific. I don't know if that's the Atlantic. I don't know if that's the Indian Ocean. It wouldn't be the Indian Ocean because it's dark over there. So that's daylight. So yeah, that tells me that more than likely right there is a part of the Pacific Ocean. And quite possibly, I think part of maybe the North Atlantic. It's not quite dark there yet. But there's the view, guys, from the space station. And there will be footage sometime today that will show at least the volcano, the ash plume, will easily be visible from the space station here. But I don't know where it's at right now. It's on the daylight side of the Earth, so more than likely this is above part of the Pacific Ocean. Then again, it could be the Atlantic Ocean as well. But clearly on the daylight side of the Earth. And the volcano eruption right now is on the nighttime side of the Earth. So we're not going to be able to see anything right now from the space station, but there will be footage at some point show up, at least in the archives of the volcanic eruption, I'm sure. At least be able to see the plume of ash and smoke and steam go high up into the sky. And you can tell that went up at a very fast pace. That was a rapid, I mean quick eruption. Quick and very large. But the good news is I've gotten reports from folks over in Southern California that just got out of the water near Ensenadas that were surfing. And we're not surfing any unusually large waves, so that's good news. It's not a bad thing. But we're still waiting on news coming out of the South Pacific. And if I find any new news here, anytime this morning, or I'll definitely share that as it becomes available. But you can see right now it's dark over here in the island nation of Tonga and Fiji. See how it's dark? So we're not going to be able to see anything per se from the space station. Now once the space station, the archives become available, we'll be able to see the plume and everything from space easily, but right now it's on the dark side of the Earth. The volcano eruption, the space station's on the daylight side of the Earth. Once again, guys, unprecedented underwater volcano eruption near, and I mean right next door to the island nation of Tonga, just maybe a couple of miles off the shoreline of Tonga. Look at that. There's a close-up view. Right at dinner time. They were just sitting down to eat dinner. Wow. And once again, this was heard. It sounded like thunder over 500 miles away. Fiji's around 500 miles away to the west, slightly northwest. And many reports out of Fiji of what sounded like thunder. And I've also got reports from New Zealand of people that supposedly heard what sounded like thunder from this very large underwater volcano eruption, once again in the South Pacific at the 21-degree south latitude near the island nation of Tonga. Massive underwater volcano eruption that was completely unexpected, that prompted a tsunami alert for the coast of Southern California, Hawaii, and you can see over here at the National Data Buoy Center, all of these buoys all around the Pacific Ring of Fire in event mode. And those will stay in event mode for 24 hours. They'll be in event mode for 24 hours till this time tomorrow, and then they'll go back into their regular steady phase. Like you see the majority of these yellow ones that are active, they're just not in what's called event mode. Event mode, they start pulsating yellow, and they are trying to tell you that, hey, something's up. We've detected something, here in the waters. Tsunami advisory issued after large volcanic eruption. That is a headline you don't see every day. Attention, Southern California, tsunami advisory is in effect. This was an article that was posted at 7:27 a.m. Giant volcano eruption near the island nation of Tonga. All right, guys, one more look at the satellite feed. Then I'm going to start looking for news on this unprecedented event that occurred just a few hours ago. And keep in mind, the energy waves expanding out from, well, at least a tsunami from an earthquake. Those waves can travel at 500 miles per hour. So just basic math, 5,000 miles would take 10 hours, This here being an underwater volcano, it's a different type of energy. I'm not sure how this is measured and calculated with regard to the speed of a potential tsunami wave. But I know, years ago when I studied underwater energy and the hydro and all that, the typical tsunami waves 500 miles an hour. Of course, there's a lot of other variables involved, but you're looking at unprecedented footage of something that you just don't see every day. Large, giant underwater volcano eruption near the island nation of Tonga. So far, no tsunami detected along the southern coast of California. But if you guys happen to hear of anything, feel free to leave a comment. Yeah, someone asked, has there been anything or any information come out of Tonga, in the last 12 hours? And more than likely, no, there hasn't, because of a major power outage. Article I read, it's one of these articles here. I don't know if it was this one, quite possibly this one here. I think it was this one here at yahoo.news. They were reporting that there was no power right here in the island nation of Tonga, that you can see was just in that right-hand side of that eruption. Unbelievable footage there. So no, there's no power in Tonga right now. So it could be a while before any type of news from that location. So I'm not even going to speculate. At this point, I have no idea. All I know is they were right next to a large volcano eruption, underwater volcano eruption that more than likely generated some sort of a tsunami, along the shore of the island. Don't know how big. I have no idea, and I'm not going to speculate. This is something you don't see every day. So I'm sure there was some kind of tsunami. But from what I understand, their power has been affected as a result of that large underwater eruption you just saw right there on satellite. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get busy and do some research and see if I can find out anything, maybe from surrounding islands. That's typically what I do. If you can't go to a particular area, you go to the closest area nearby that you can. So, like in this particular case, check Fiji news, check America and Samoa, Wallis, Futuna, check in the New Zealand area, and then of course keep an eye on Tonga for news to come out of that area. But you got to keep in mind it's in the middle of the night right now down in Tonga. It's in the overnight hours, sunlight. Daybreak is probably a few hours away. So any chance to get the power restored, it's more challenging during the overnight hours than it is during daylight hours. So the sun should be coming up in Tonga, I would say, in the next 4 hours, and then they'll be able to assess, what they're up against and be able to get the power restored, at some point. I don't know if it'll be today, but in the meantime, we'll check around to neighboring islands and of course New Zealand, Australia, and see if maybe we can find some credible news sources coming out of those areas. So once again, a giant underwater volcanic eruption near the island nation of Tonga, prompting a tsunami warning across the Pacific Ocean. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there, guys.